All right, Tom, let's talk about the Western Conference playoff race. The Thunder, 1 seed, all locked up. Lakers, 40-21, 8 in a row. Big win against the Knicks in overtime. We'll talk about that later. They're currently the 2 seed. Right now, I want to rank the potential West play-in teams. These are the threats to the Thunder and currently the Lakers in the 2 seed. Sound good to you, Tom? We're going to rank these teams, okay?
Let's do it. Are you sure the Thunder are going to lock in that 1st seed? I just don't know. I don't know.
It would be the most epic collapse starting on Friday if the Blazers beat the B team for the Thunder, if that were to happen.
Yeah, I think we can lock it in that the Thunder are going to be the number 1 seed. Yeah.
And the Lakers forgot how to lose. So, hey, you never know. They're the 2 seed at worst. So these are going to be the teams that you least want to play to most want to play if you're the Thunder as the 1 seed or whoever ends up the 2 seed, currently the Lakers. So the teams in play-in contention are the 6 seed to the 12 seed right now. The Warriors are the 6 seed, Wolves at 7, Clippers at 8, Kings at 9, Mavs 10, Suns 11, Blazers 12. Of those 7 teams, number 1, no surprise, the team you'd least want to face, it's the Golden State Warriors. They probably shouldn't even be included in the play-in race right now. They're the 6 seed, 3 back from the Rockets, who have lost 11 of 16 games, 3.5 back from the Grizzlies, who've lost 4 in a row. Ja Morant complaining about shoulder issues as well, so that doesn't seem to be getting better. They have a 12.5 net rating, 3rd best in the NBA behind the Cavs and the Pistons ever since they got Jimmy Butler and Steph in these games. Tom, one of my worst takes of the year earlier this season, as I said, looks like Steph is showing signs of decline. Last 12 games, 30.3 points, 50, 40, 90. Steph looks all the way back. I didn't know if he had this in him. He clearly has this in him. He looks absolutely incredible, and he did again on Thursday as well.
Yeah, you said it on X, and I had it in my notes. And the shots that he made against Brooklyn were some of the craziest shots he's hit in his career. I mean, the half-court shot, the one where I think my favorite one was this, like in the 2nd quarter, he had this runner in the lane where he came across and he hit a bank shot off of his left foot going to his left.
God.
It was like he was flying this way, out of bounds. He took a shot off his left foot and banked it with the perfect touch. And I'm just sitting here like, that's a circus shot. It probably isn't even going to hit the highlight reel, but the level of difficulty on that is crazy. And then the touch around the basket, Jimmy Butler, when he's on the floor without Steph, they've done such a good job of basically maintaining leads. And I think he's plus 28 with Luka, not Luka Doncic, man, that would be pretty crazy. Stephen Curry off the floor and Jimmy Butler on the floor with like about 100 minutes without Stephen Curry. And that's huge. The fact that they can basically have one star, a go-to scorer, an alpha scorer, no matter when the game is, that's a huge advantage compared to what they had with Andrew Wiggins. And Stephen Curry, man, yeah, I wrote it down too. 30.3 points in his last 12 games, 51% shooting, 44% shooting from 3, and 90%. So he's 50, 40, 90, like you said. But this is peak Stephen Curry. We're seeing peak Stephen Curry, peak LeBron James, and they're both supposed to be in the twilight of their careers, Kev. This is insane.
It's nuts. And I think with Steph, you mentioned that leaning finish and some of the layups and the touch and all that. The thing with Steph earlier in the year that worried me, is he wasn't getting to the rim he wasn't getting to the rim as often. He wasn't finishing as well at the rim, and that might have been due to the knee issue he was dealing with. But ever since, like the last 12 games, 69% in the restricted area, up from 60%, 61% from mid-range, up from 45%, 44% from 3, up from 39%. Like you said, he's looking like peak Steph, looking like top 5 Steph. There's just no signs of decline. He looks like full-on Stephen Curry. Like, there's nothing else to say. That's what he looks like. And if he looks like this, and in this game, you mentioned Butler in the minutes without Steph. Like, they're like, if you didn't watch the game, Steph minus 16 somehow on 40 points on 20 field goal attempts. Butler plus 17 in the game. Like, I think that is indicative again of what the Warriors have been doing. Now, I think with Golden State, like this was a weird game. It wasn't as close as it really was. They were up 10 with a minute and a second to go. Then the Nets had a layup and there's a turnover, and then they got a layup and an and one, and 10 points is suddenly 5. And then there's almost a backcourt violation, but Steph goes out of bounds and Nets hit a 3. And by that point, there's 10.1 seconds left. Warriors hit some free throws. It's basically over. The thing from tonight's game is Pods got hurt. Got hurt 1 minute into the game, back issue. And so for Golden State, Pods has been so good for them, Tom, and their schedule's been very, very weak. I don't want to diminish what they've done with Jimmy Butler, but they do have a tougher stretch if Pods is out for any extended period of time. Pistons on Saturday, Blazers on Monday, before 4 games in 6 nights against the Kings, Knicks, Nuggets, and Bucks. So there is a bit of an uptick in opponent quality coming up for the Warriors that I think is going to be a better barometer for who they really are rather than the games we've seen them play so far.
100%. I love what I'm seeing from Draymond and Jimmy Butler, their actions that they have. There's this set that they're running quite a bit where Draymond has the ball at like the top of the key. He's almost got his back to the basket, and he looks over his shoulder, and Jimmy Butler has sealed his guy, and he throws this lob, and he gets layups to Jimmy Butler all the time. And that's stuff that you would imagine would be in the off season, in training camp. They would run these sets or kind of find these actions that they can get easy buckets for Jimmy Butler at the rim, but they're doing it already. And that's the thing, is like they've already got this chemistry, very high IQ players, veteran players, championship tested players, and you're seeing that they are figuring out ways to work together, even though they're not 3-point shooters, and they're figuring out a way to get easy buckets at the rim in the half court. And you mentioned the shooting of Steph Curry around the basket. I think part of it is a lot of the misses that he was having around the rim were getting no foul calls earlier in the season. And if you look at the numbers, he had 3 games before Jimmy Butler arrived, 3 games with at least 8 free throw attempts before Jimmy Butler arrived in 42 games. So 3 high volume free throw attempt games for Steph Curry in 42 games. With Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, another 9 free throws in Thursday night's game against Brooklyn. He's had 6 in 12 games. So he's getting to the free throw line a lot more. And I'm wondering if there's like some sort of osmosis he's getting from Jimmy Butler, who's been living at the free throw line his whole career. For some reason, Steph Curry is getting these calls now, and he's now living at the free throw line much in the same way that Jimmy Butler does. So it's just everything around Steph Curry, not just the Tom, percentages.
This is like when the NBA put Austin Reeves at the free throw line 20 times a game a couple of years ago.
Dude, not quite that. Not quite. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet, man. That was crazy. Remember that? It was like 15 free throws, 20 free throws. It was nuts. And hey, by the way, on that, well, I guess we'll get to the Clippers later, but James Harden with 20 free throws, vintage James Harden. So these old guys are getting these new tricks again.
That they are. So let's go to number 2 in my play-in rankings here, the teams that you'd least to most want to face if you're a top seed in the Western Conference. Number 2, Minnesota Timberwolves. I think you just got to respect them. They've been average for about a month now, 8-7, but Gobert's about to come back from his lower back injury. Knowing what they were in the West Finals last year, knowing what Anthony Edwards showed he can be in the playoffs, knowing what the defense can be with Rudy Gobert, I think it's hard not to put them number 2 in these rankings. Is there any team you'd put ahead of them, Tom?
I thought about the Clippers here. The Clippers without Norm Powell, though, it's tough sledding. I mean, they got a good win with that 50 piece from James Harden, but with Dante DiVincenzo back and with Rudy Gobert on the way back, this is a team that's getting healthier. I continue to love Naz Reid, and I want him to continue to get crunch time minutes for the Timberwolves. And look, they're getting healthier. If Rudy Gobert can come back with Julius Randle getting healthier, they're going to be a tough out. Now, the thing with Minnesota is whether they're going to be able to get really good offense in the half court in the postseason. Anthony Edwards, as you had written before, he's taking a lot more 3-pointers, and they need more of that 3-point shooting, the 3-point spacing in order to get healthy half-court offense. But yeah, Minnesota's probably number 2. I have the Clippers right behind them, though.
I have a different team at number 3, and there's a reason for this. It's the Suns, okay? And here's why. Because if the Suns make the play-in, it means that they're doing something right, because right now they're 2.5 back from the Mavs for the 10, 3.5 back from the Kings, 4 back from the Clippers. They have the toughest schedule by far remaining in the NBA. They're facing teams with a win percentage average of 59%. 20 games remaining. Twice they face the Celtics, the Bucks, the Rockets, and the Kings. They face one time the Nuggets, Grizzlies, Lakers, Cavs, Wolves, Knicks, Warriors, Thunder. Like, if they beat enough of those teams to move into the play-in, and then they advance out of the play-in, beating whoever that they get to beat, that's got to indicate that this team might have fixed what was wrong. And like, we're coming off like within a week ago, KD's like brushing off Budenholzer. They're relying on Colin Gillespie to win a game in the fourth quarter, but maybe it had to be weird. So I just think I'm putting the Suns there because if they actually get in, like, they had a great run, right? Like, does that logic make sense?
If they get things together and they basically become a 70-win team to get into the play-in there, maybe. But
exactly.
Remember, they got swept last year. They're 4-7 against the spread in the playoffs with Kevin Durant. That's not a good sign. Is that even if they get into the play-in scenario, it hasn't been great in the playoffs with the KD Suns. So I'm not super worried about the Suns, even if they get into the playoffs. I still have the Clippers
But that strength of schedule, though, like, if they get through those teams, that's crazy. It seems impossible for them to make the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. If they make it as the 8 or 7, like, that means something really is magically happening with them.
Or it means that KD at his age is going to be barely able to walk because he went through that gauntlet to get into the playoffs. So, like, one way or a counterpoint, they might not have anything left if they go through basically a 600 win percentage with strength of schedule getting into the playoffs. So I don't know, man, because what you're saying is the playoffs start now. It's at Denver, at Dallas, at Memphis, at Houston, SAC, Lakers, Toronto. There's of the 17 of the next 20 games are against 500 or better teams. So the playoffs start now. And so you're saying that KD and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and your guy Bol are going to basically turn into a playoff juggernaut over the next 20 games and then scare the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Lakers. I'm not seeing it. I got the Clippers ahead of them.
All right, so I have the Clippers number 4 on my rankings here, which, I feel like this is a fair spot. What's the case for them up to number 3? And you argued for maybe even number 2 for the Clippers.
Yeah, Kawhi looks great. Kawhi looks not like peak Kawhi, but he looks good enough that I feel like if you have James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, my big variable here is they looked such a different team without Norm Powell. I never thought I'd say this, that the Clippers need Norm Powell so badly right now that they're just not really reaching what they need to be without that guy who's, even with Kawhi back, he's still a guy that is going to be able to get you 20, 25 points a game. And the 3-point shooting, they're not a good 3-point shooting team, but with Norm Powell, that is an elite floor spacer. He does a lot for them. And without him over the last few weeks, it hasn't been pretty. I thought they'd be better with Kawhi back, but without Norm Powell, it hasn't been pretty. So if they do get into the playoffs and they have Kawhi and James Harden, that's a scary team. That team scares me more than a KD and Devin Booker team.
I think these top 4 teams are in a tier of their own. Maybe you disagree with the Suns. Maybe you think it's just 3. But in terms of like teams that could, who knows, maybe win that first round series over the 1 or the 2 seed. Because then at 5, I have the Blazers. That might make you very happy that I have your Portland Trail Blazers at number 5. And here's why. They have a top 10 defense over 2 months now. Like they're going to be tough. They're going to be feisty if they actually get in. They're 4 back from the Mavericks. I wouldn't expect them to get in. I would hope they don't get in because I'd rather get the more lottery odds if I'm Portland personally and just fight hard through the rest of the season. But if they were to get in, their defense is looking awesome, dude. And you see it every game because you cover them.
Yeah, Toumani Camara, you put him on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and all bets are off. I would love to see that matchup in the playoffs if we get it. Toumani,
well, not all bets are off. OKC's winning in 4.
yeah, I'm saying when you have Toumani Camara, you have a chance at winning a game if you put him against the opposing best player. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win that matchup. He's ridiculous.
Does Camara make an all-D team, Tom?
Yes. I wrote about it for Tom the Finder this week that he's second in defensive stops in the NBA. Second in the NBA in defensive stops.
Ball Finder, the new website. Great stat.
Yep. You have not just the steals, not just the blocks, but also the offensive fouls drawn that, by the way, is also adding a foul on the opposing star player like they did with Evan Mobley. The Blazers fouled him out of the game in part because Toumani Camara drew a charge on him. So you can argue that steals are more important than charges. I can understand that argument because a live ball turnover out of it. But I would argue that charges are underrated. And you saw it in that Lakers game with Jalen Brunson taking charges. It's just another way of rim protection that Toumani Camara might not be rising up every time to block a shot, but he is such a good defender and he gets under everybody's skin. And we're not going to get the chance on Friday to watch Toumani and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander go head to head. But every time he goes against, he locked down Jaylen Brown against the Boston Celtics. So the problem is that Peyton Pritchard and Derek White went off for 40 each, which is the first duo for the Celtics in Celtics history to ever have 40 pieces by teammates, which is insane. There's only one Toumani Camara. They play excellent defense. And over the last, I think it's since January 19th, when Chauncey Billups made the switch to move Shaedon Sharpe into the second unit, the defense is now second in the NBA over that span behind the Los Angeles Lakers. So since January 19th, they are a top 2 defense. Incredible turnaround.
Number 6, I have the Sacramento Kings. There's nothing scary about this team in a playoff series. Average offensively, still finding their way offensively as well. And currently right now, Sabonis out with a hamstring injury and, stuff like that can linger. So we'll see how he responds when he actually gets back. And then number 7, they're currently the 10 seed. They're free falling. The Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving. After my last podcast, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL that night, out for the season. Sadly, I mean, it's such a major bummer, for Mavericks fans that Kyrie, after all of this madness with Luka traded, especially after Thursday night with Luka dominating down the stretch for the Lakers. Just like every time I watch him play, it's like, what the hell was Nico Harrison thinking? I still cannot believe that the Mavericks actually made that trade. And you have AD out. Shams Charania reports this week that he could possibly be shut down for the remainder of the season with his adductor injury that might require surgery. And you got Lively out and Gafford out. And I mean, they've lost 5 out of 6. They should tank. They're 4 games separated from the 10th best odds, which is currently Portland. I mean, I just feel horrible for Mavs fans that we're actually talking about them as they're not even a play-in threat. They should tank. Oh, Luka's a Laker. Kyrie's out with a torn ACL. What the hell, Tom?
My cousin, I just saw her in Portland. She doesn't watch the NBA. First thing she said to me, she goes, "Why did they make that trade?" Didn't even mention the Luka Doncic, Lakers, Mavs. She can't even pronounce Luka Doncic's name. And she's just why did they make that trade?
How does she pronounce it, I wonder?
I don't even, she doesn't even try it. She's like the Luka guy. That's where it's gone, is that not even sports
the
fans.
Fat one, according to Nico. The chubby guy, the chubby white guy.
Hookah Luka. All right. I mean,
Luka.
It's insane. And the process of the trade, we were hammering him before Kyrie got hurt, before AD got hurt, before Luka Doncic looks like he's in great shape over with the Lakers and winning games down the stretch against the Knicks and against everybody. The process was terrible. And here you have Mark Cuban doing an interview. I don't know if you saw this for WFAA, referring to the Mavs in like the third person, not saying us when we traded the Mavs. He's saying when the Mavs made that deal, I kind of wish they got more in the deal, as if he doesn't also own a chunk of the Mavs. It's so he's disassociated himself from the Mavs. Mm-hmm. That's how bad this trade was, that Mark Cuban wants nothing to do with this Luka trade. And he's saying it would have been nice if they got 4 first-round picks in the deal, but we're not talking about that now. It's a colossal disaster of a trade. I would argue probably the worst trade in American sports. I can't speak for the soccer leagues around the world, but I got to imagine there's no trade that's ever been worse than this one.
No, I mean, unless there's 1918 potential here, Curse of the Bambino, with Babe Ruth going from the Red Sox to the Yankees, Curse of the Dawn. If the Mavericks go many, many decades, 100 years without a NBA Finals appearance or championship again, well, it feels like they're cursed right now. I feel bad. I just feel bad for Mavericks fans, man. And I said this in a Yahoo Sports video earlier in the week. Recorded that after the Kyrie news broke. And like, if you're Patrick Dumont, like I said, Nico Harrison should be fired, is what I said in the video. And like, you have a lot of people that are like, yeah, you're right. Like, the Mavericks should fire him. And then you have a lot of people who are like, no, this is on ownership. They're cheap. They didn't want to pay him the supermax. Nico's just he's being controlled by Dumont. It's like, well, no. All indications are Nico did this on his own, first of all. That's the information we have. My sources have said, what many people have reported. That's the indication that Nico did this on his own, and that ownership was just like, okay, we've empowered the front office. And that's what owners do sometimes. Sometimes owners are very involved. Ishbia with the Suns. That's like new owner syndrome, saying, no, we got to do these trades. We got to go all in. Do it, James Jones. Do it. That's the owner being very heavily involved with basketball operations. And then there's cases where sometimes the owner is hands off and they let the front office do what they want to do, and they just give final approval, but they trust and empower the front office. That's what Wyc Grousbeck is like with the Celtics. He was like that with Danny Ainge. He's like that with Brad Stevens. Those front offices have done a good job. James Dolan with the Knicks was like that with Phil Jackson for negative reasons, and he's like that now with Leon Rose for good reasons, it seems. So with the Mavericks, my understanding is that's the case. They empowered Nico Harrison in that front office to make moves, and they gave the final sign-off. So I think for fans saying that, like, oh, no, it doesn't change anything, it does, Tom. It does, Tom. And that's where you're losing owners. Like, you're losing Cuban talking in third person, as you said, and you're losing fans. I really think the only way to make things feel right is by removing that reminder of who made this horrible trade.
I think, Kevin, they're going to extend Kyrie. If it's not the max, they're going to do a big time contract extension with Kyrie.
And what, he misses half of next season?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a Klay Thompson situation to almost double down on the poor decision to like go all in this like 2 to 3 year window and stick by, because you saw that comment from Nico Harrison in support of Kyrie Irving. He released the statement.
Invokes
that
Kobe.
Doesn't seem like associating him with Kobe. Can we not associate with Lakers players, please? Can you associate maybe, like I said this on the Big Number with Dan Devine. Go listen to it. We had a whole segment about this, and it drives me crazy that Patrick Dumont, when he's listing all of the great players in history who had great work ethics, according to Patrick Dumont, and skipping over Dirk Nowitzki, and then in this statement, instead of being like, we hope to have Kyrie Irving playing at a high level into his late 30s like we had with Dirk Nowitzki here in a Mavs uniform, instead, he goes and refers to a Laker guy. Well, everybody is talking about how he's this like sleeper agent for the Los Angeles Lakers. You're now associating him, conjuring up images of Kobe Bryant when you're leading the Dallas Mavericks. What is going on here, man?
Tom, I don't know what's going on. All I know is Dumont has an opportunity here to show Mavericks fans, hey, we're moving forward from this and let's build it up again. we'll see what ends up happening there. All I know is Mark Cuban looks like he's, separating himself. As you said, I've heard Dirk Nowitzki is furious about it. I'm sure that more and more will come out in the weeks and months ahead, considering the fact that, we just got that Cuban quote today, and I'm sure more will come out, especially with the Lakers surging the way they are. And we'll talk about that game in a bit. We'll be right back and talk about some of the drama from this week and some other games as well. Okay, Tom, our guy Reed Sheppard scored 25 points in his first start for the Houston Rockets this week. On Thursday, the Rockets beat the Pelicans 109-97. I want to talk about that Reed game, though. 25 points. He did it, Tom. We have hope, our number one prospect in the 24 draft. Go Reed.
God, he looks so good. And did you know what the defense he did it against was? The Oklahoma City
OKC.
Thunder.
SGA, Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace. Oh my God.
And he had his full bag, man. He was hitting the middies. He gets separation. Like we all talk about his 3-point shooting.
Did you see that little floater he had on, I think it was Wallace, where he drove into the paint, stopped on a dime. Wallace is like backpedaling, hits a little floater. I'm like, oh my God, that's college Reed Sheppard. That's the guy that I imagined.
And dude, and then the next game out, he has like 2 points, and it's like he can't get into rhythm off the bench.
10, 11 minutes off the bench on Thursday against
He's like a different player. And Kevin, if you do the math, in 4 pro starts, he's averaging 28 points a game. Forget that 3 of them are in the G League, but he's averaging 28 when he starts. I still believe in Reed Sheppard.
I support that stat, Tom. I fully endorse it. That's a great stat.
28 points per game as a pro. Forget about that. Most of them are in the G League. It's fine. We'll obscure that fact. But he's great, dude. I think he's still, in my opinion, the best prospect in this class, along with, Stephen Castle and Donovan Clingan. I don't know where you would have, if you did a redraft or a re-rank of this class, where you would put Reed Sheppard, but like that game against OKC, if you give him the oxygen, if you give him the playing time, it seems like he's a completely different player. And it's not a great rookie class. It's not a great class, but I would still bet big on Reed Sheppard.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd change. I mean, he's a small guard. I wasn't necessarily expecting, big things from him as a rookie, especially considering the depth chart for the Houston Rockets. I wish he would bring the aggression in ways that he does when he gets extended minutes. I wish he would do that when he gets 10 minutes. I wish he would just be aggressive. Sometimes I feel like he's too deferential, but hopefully Reed gets more opportunities over the course of the season. One other note from the Thursday night Rockets-Pelicans game, for what it's worth, I did not watch this game. There's a lot of games on tonight. That one I did not have my eyeballs on. Adams and Şengün played 7 minutes together in the Thursday night game, and they outscored the Pelicans by 18. And this continues a pretty good little experimental trend we're seeing from Ime Udoka. They've played 25 minutes together with 2 bigs, Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün. The Rockets are now plus 39 in those 25 minutes. And Şengün, after the game, he said, we're testing. It's working. And it reminded me of something Mark Daigneault, the Thunder head coach, talked about, maybe 10 days ago, around 2 weeks ago, with Isaiah Hartenstein and playing him with Chet Holmgren. And, he's like, we're not really worried about what the opponent's doing. We know there's going to be bumps. We're just trying things out. And it was like this really good, long, elaborate answer going into the mindset of using the regular season to experiment. And I know the Thunder are in a position where they're far ahead of everybody and they can afford to experiment, but the Rockets aren't. The Rockets are in the thick of the playoff race right now. There's still a chance that they could slip out of the top 6 and become a play-in team. But I like that those teams are doing that versus the Knicks. They get Mitchell Robinson back, and entering the Thursday night game, he had played 0 minutes with Karl Anthony Towns. They played 2 minutes and 15 seconds together in the second quarter, and they outscored the Lakers 9-4 in those 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, Thibs, basically the entire year, Mitchell Robinson's out. He barely played his 2 bigs at all. And I just don't understand how with Thibs, he doesn't use these moments to experiment. Like, why would you not want to have that tool ready to go in a postseason series? I just don't get it. Like, what do you wait until early March for, Tom, to do it really for the first time?
Well, first of all, Mitchell Robinson hasn't been healthy for him to really
but you could have done. You could do that more often. You have other bigs on your roster. You could at least experiment over the course of the year.
I was actually surprised he busted it out during the Lakers game. Like, he had it for a couple minutes there, like you said, and I was surprised that he went to it, and good minutes too. So with Jalen Brunson,
Tom, Jericho Sims was like effective off the bench in limited minutes this year, and he barely played at all with Karl Anthony Towns. Like, that's where I'm confused. Where it's like, why would you not use Jericho Sims in place of Mitchell Robinson for a little bit? I'm not asking for a lot of it, but just to have the team have that tool in its bag. And it's like the same thing on offense. Like, it's all Jalen Brunson down the stretch of that game before he turns his ankle. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's like, are you not running anything through Karl Anthony Towns? Are you not running anything through Mikal Bridges? You're paying $40 million. Like, you have all these other guys, and it's all the same thing over and over and over and over again with his minutes, with his system, with his lineups. I just think Thibs, I don't want to, it's so easy to blame the coach, but it's just these same issues that he had at all of his other stops. This is the same conversation now as it was then.
Yeah, a lot of conventional, just like play your starters like it's 90s basketball and just run them into the ground. And now you're going to see it with Jalen Brunson out. He could barely put any weight on that ankle. It was an ugly turn. It was not something that, we can blame on minutes or we can put on for leaving him in there in a blowout situation. It wasn't one of those situations with Tom Thibodeau, but to your point, now this team is going to have to play what it seems like extended minutes without Jalen Brunson. And we just don't have many examples of this because he plays those 5 starters for almost 40 minutes a game. So I don't know, man. I'm with you. Look, they had LeBron guarding KAT, at the 5. Like, LeBron was playing point center for much of this game, and similar against the Denver Nuggets, he was guarding Jokic for much of that game. And so if you have LeBron playing the 5, then get another big out there and try to beat them up on the boards and get them exhausted.
Yes. No kidding. I mean, that's the thing. It's like this Lakers defense was unbelievable in the fourth quarter. Swarming, giving issues to Brunson. They're like, the Lakers are huge. They're just big. I know, like, they don't have a true center, but they're big across positions. But that's where with the Knicks, it's like, well, why not go with 2 bigs to be bigger at the 5 and bigger at the 4 and try to overwhelm them in size, maybe crash the boards a little bit more, create second chance opportunities. I'm just a little confused with why New York does that. But then again, why should I be confused? Thibs has been like this for a decade. This is old news. Like, this is nothing new. Knicks fans know this as well. So, like, maybe I shouldn't be confused. But with the Lakers, that was an amazing comeback, dude. Like, holding the Knicks to 15 points. I know the Knicks offense was stagnant. It was all Brunson, no scheme, no movement, no plays, nothing, no creativity. But the Lakers are a part of that as well. And I was impressed. Luka's effort, he had like some good second efforts on a drive by Josh Hart where, he stops him once and he gets a little second effort opportunity. LeBron, obviously, DFS, but it just feels like the more and more you watch this Lakers defense, it feels real. I'm buying it, Tom. Are you buying this Lakers defense performing at the elite level that it is?
Yeah, man. Can you imagine if we get a Warriors-Lakers matchup in the first round? How fun that would be. I mean, that could be a Western Conference matchup right there. Western Conference Finals matchup. Like, I still think the Thunder are going to win this whole thing, but the high quality of these two teams since they made their acquisitions, they're elite teams. And with the Lakers, the effort level, and I'm telling you, Doncic is so underrated. He got so overrated as like a defender, and then now he's underrated as a defender, where it's like he's giving a lot of high effort plays, and he's giving a lot of energy, and he's got a lot of steals. He's making plays, and I think that's key, and that's indicative of LeBron and JJ Redick getting that out of him. Another reason why trading this dude to the Lakers was so logically obvious to backfire in ways that were so predictable that, like, yeah, Luka Doncic is giving a lot of extra efforts that you lit a fire under this dude's ass. So you're looking at Luka already giving more effort offensively than defensively. He comes out in overtime, hits the jumper, then hits the 3, 5-0 start. It basically, the game ended right there. Yes, the Knicks came back in overtime, but the fact that you have Luka Doncic that can come out of overtime and carry that offense and give them a 5-point lead instantly, it's not fair, man. It's not fair that the Lakers keep getting these dudes out of thin air. It's nuts.
It's just I still can't believe it when I see it on the floor. I'm watching the game.
Yeah, Brian Anderson said that in the middle of the game. He was like, I can't believe Luka's a Laker. And I was like, did he mean to say that?
It's just like I'm watching like the best 2K graphics, like future 2K, like 2K 2 decades from now. It's just like, how is this actually a real thing? But yeah, I'm buying their defense. Luka's looking more and more like himself. I'm buying the Lakers as a contender. It's going to be, like you said, Lakers Warriors will be very fun to watch in the first round if we end up getting that. The Knicks right now in that game, they got Karl Anthony Towns back. He was out on Tuesday against the Warriors for personal reasons. Now, this is related to a little bit of drama. Draymond went on his podcast on Friday morning, and he said there's rumors that KAT didn't want to play in that game because Jimmy Butler's in Golden State. He didn't want to be in the building. Well, turns out KAT was at his girlfriend's friend's funeral who died of breast cancer. So Draymond an ass. Old news there. So I wonder if Draymond knew. Probably not. But for Karl Anthony Towns, good to see him back on the floor, of course.
Yeah, this is when Draymond needs to close his third eye. Like there was no other. Yeah, just don't go there.
I know.
Well,
seriously.
On that note, with Karl Anthony Towns, I just they need to get better defense, and maybe it's the too big lineup. But the Lakers couldn't get their offense going. Karl Anthony Towns, it wasn't his best game coming back from the absence. LeBron guarding him. I still like LeBron with the clutch shots that he had in this game and the big plays that he had in this game, the passing, the free throws, the fact that he's basically a big now. He's setting a lot more screens. This is something that Eric Spoelstra wanted to unlock with LeBron, is him at the 4 and being Karl Malone or being the numbers advantage. When Luka gets trapped, they can give it to LeBron in that Draymond Green role, and then it's 4-on-3. The Lakers offense, man, they always seem to have numbers advantages. And it's because they have to figure out a way to guard Luka and double team him. But you can't do that because they got LeBron. You give LeBron with his numbers advantage, and it's going to be tic-tac-toe bucket. And a lot of times that happened where he's hitting Jackson Hayes, and then great kick out when he's rolling down the paint, kick out to 3. I think it was Austin Reeves in the left corner. And it's great offense, man. JJ Redick is coaching his ass off. This is a great resurgence for them. And Luka, the only thing I wrote down in my notes here, stop complaining to the refs, falling back into old habits on this one. And he was verging on getting tossed in this game. This was the worst of Luka when it comes to complaining to referees in this one.
Yes. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of flopping and complaining in that first half. It's between Brunson and Reeves and Luka. And yeah, the KAT drama was not the only KAT drama, the only media drama this week. Kendrick Perkins said earlier in the week that the Lakers saved the NBA. And then Charles Barkley on the TNT broadcast comes out and he calls Perk an idiot and a fool. And he says only ESPN only talks about the Lakers and the Warriors. Nobody talks about the Cavs and the Thunder. He said ESPN talks about second place teams. And he said, quote, y'all talk about teams that had 2 great weeks. Then Perkins went on X and posted, tell that senior citizen, Charles Barkley, that I'll be around when he sees an idiot or a fool in person. Make sure he keeps.
Did he really say
that? Yeah, he really said that. It's a real post.
They're going to be teammates really next year, right?
I know. Well, Charles was also saying, well, we're going to be at that network next year too. Tom, like
Charles
this is
Barkley
all
a senior
so
citizen. This is nuts, dude. This is nuts.
It's all silly. It's like high school level drama, but there's me being like mediator for them. Perkins is crazy for that take. Like the Lakers didn't save the season; they just spiked interest. And Charles, I mean, like I think there's a little bit of projection here too. It's not like TNT hasn't talked about top teams. It's not like TNT doesn't have the who he play for segment involving Charles. And I think Charles is probably a little salty because he's been a hater against the Lakers all year. He questioned the LeBron Luka fit. So I think it's a little bit of both here. Like Perk had a crazy take and Charles probably salty about the fact he's looking wrong about the Lakers.
Wait, so Charles went at ESPN for talking about a second place team as if like
the Celtics. He said a team that that's had 2 great weeks, even though the Lakers have had an elite defense for almost 2 months now, and have played great basketball going back even further than that.
Remember, he was hating on JJ Redick earlier this season when JJ was talking about like we have similar thing to what LeBron reiterated a couple weeks ago, and Charles just went nuts about JJ Redick, and I continue to believe all JJ Redick needed to say in that next press conference was "case closed, told you so." Like that Charles was going at him and talking all of this trash about the Lakers when it's just like, this is exactly what JJ Redick's point was. This is exactly LeBron James's point was. And so it's going to be, I'm very excited. Hey, you talked about media drama. I wanted to just reference this. Do you remember when Jalen Brunson in that game against the Lakers had that that clutch and one, and Spike Lee was going nuts and like jumping around and was in Jalen Brunson's face? If you go back and watch that clip, go back and watch Larry David sitting courtside. He didn't even flinch. He had his legs crossed in that very Larry David pose on the courtside. And it was just amazing that like Jalen Brunson hits that shot. The place is going nuts. Larry David couldn't be bothered. And meanwhile, Spike Lee is just going bonkers on the sidelines. And it's just like, that is just such a Larry David moment there that he was just chilling. He was just, couldn't be bothered.
Well, thankfully he didn't stick his leg out and trip anybody.
Oh my God. Where's Shaq? Yeah, man, that was a crazy game, dude. That was so much fun. It felt like a playoff game, and OG for a while. He was guarding Luka pretty well, but the Knicks ran out of gas, and it's the same story as last year. It's like just when they don't need an injury, you had Jalen Brunson go down. Hopefully, he's back soon.
Tom, you're currently in a hotel room right now because you've been in Portland this entire week doing pregame, halftime, and other Blazers broadcast duties in person with the legend, Neil Everett. How's Portland been? You've been there like a week now. You're basically a citizen. How are you liking it? Any good restaurants? What's the vibe?
Oh, the vibes are very strong in Portland. I love Portland. It's a great city. And dude, it was like 50 degrees and sunny, not a cloud in the sky today. So I just spent like half the day just walking around the city, went to the Hoyt Arboretum at the Washington Park, touched some sequoias and redwoods. It's just beautiful city that you can just drive like 10 minutes and have just an amazing forest just right there in the city. Food. Shout out to Khan, Gregory Gourdet's restaurant.
I was going to ask that. I have that right now. Khan, because it's a Haitian restaurant. I grew up with a ton of Haitian people in Brockton, Mass. Khan is like on top of my list in the U.S. to go to for like the best Haitian food, apparently. Khan, God. That's literally, Khan, I was going to ask you about that.
It's one of the hardest reservations to get. And luckily I was solo.
Really?
I got off the plane. I put my bags in the hotel room and I went in the Uber and I went straight there.
And Tom, it's like number one. I didn't know. I did not know this. I just knew like it's some of the best Haitian food in the country, apparently, because some of my best friends are Haitian. So
my God, it's so good. All the Blazers folks eat there. Like if you go on a random night, like the staffers will eat there. They love this place. It's great food. Wow. There was another top chef that was eating there. Like as soon as I walk in, I'm like, oh, this is big time. So the key is for those who want to eat there, just a little tip, follow their Instagram, Khan Restaurant, and put the notifications on for their stories because they will post cancellations to their stories and then you can go and snag snag a seat. And luckily I was solo and I walked in. She's like, we just had a cancellation. Step right in if you'd like to take a seat. It was incredible. I had this whole snapper that had this tamarind chili pineapple sauce that was outrageous. Jollof rice on the side. It was crazy good. It's a great restaurant. I also recommend EEM, EEM, the coconut curry soup with brisket burnt ends. Outstanding. A Pizza Scholl's. A Pizza Scholl's has New Haven style pizza. I went there last night with Neil Everett, my producer. It was not like Pepe's or Sally's level, but it is legit great pizza. So shout out to the Pizza Scholl's spot that had the NBA games on while I was there. The Tom, food here in Portland is outrageous.
It's almost 2 a.m. East Coast right now as we record. I'm getting hungry. I have some munchies right now.
Yeah. Con, EEM, and a Pizza Scholl's. Those are my 3 recs for folks to go see.
The other restaurants I have on my Portland list from friend recommendations is Canard, which is a French restaurant.
Oh, went there too. The steam burgers at Canard, unbelievable.
What?
So
they're
let's
see
so
if we
good.
go 3 for 3. Jeju, Korean food.
Haven't gone there. Haven't gone there. No.
Okay. All right. Cool.
No.
Okay. I love
Don't
Korean
have that.
food. Korean food is some of my favorite food. Tom, I'm glad you've enjoyed Portland.
Kevin, it's been a great week. Very pumped and jacked to be here again with you. And the Blazers, we'll see how they do against the B team for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But man, it's been awesome.
I'm looking forward to watching it, Tom. Keep up the great work. Thanks for joining me again today. Coming up, we have AJ Dybantsa, incoming freshman at BYU from Brockton, Massachusetts. That's why I wanted to talk to AJ. We're both Brockton boys. Yeah, it's coming up, Tom. Yeah, I interviewed AJ Dybantsa at All-Star Weekend in San Francisco. Good conversation. He's still just a teenager, still getting his media training, but it was a fun conversation with AJ. So that's coming up next.